Hey, greetings everybody. It's been a couple days since my last adventure, my last showcase. This is episode 32. I'm still working on Masterminds. Actually, just kind of got started. Had to take a couple days off to kind of get over this throat thing I got going here. So if you hear my voice cracking, that's why. Got me some sipping water here to help keep things moving. Anyway, episode 32, 50/50 showcase. Second Mastermind. Spore KIng, ninjas, nature, soul, mastermind. Let's take a look at the build and see what this thing is about. I might even surprise myself because it's been a while since I've looked at this guy. All right, let me go ahead and hide my ugly mug real quick. Boop, there we go. All right, so take a look at the build here. This is with the brand new updated mids. So good news if you've been looking for any of my other builds and got tired of looking at the screenshots. I have the links now with the YouTube vids as well as over on the Homecoming forums posts. So you can actually click on them and they should open up the mobile friendly version. All right, so take a look at Spore KIng. He's a mastermind, so he's going to be summoning pets. He's Nature Affinity. I've played Nature a couple times already. It's a great buff set. So I think that's a key feature of the build because ninjas are one of the softer sets as far as the sturdiness of your pets. They like to die a lot. So you need a way to protect them, keep them alive. And I didn't want to do, like some sort of basic buff set, throw some shields on them. That's kind of lame. I want to get in there and mix it up. And so what you're going to see here is I'm going to be using this nature affinity Spore KIng Mastermind in much more melee positioning than I had with, I think, I had Corruptor and a Controller, I believe, were my other, I think it was Defender and a Controller. Anyway, with those, I was more stand back and, shooting out the ranged buffs with regrowth and laying down the life-giving spore patches, etc., blah, blah, blah. But in this case, I'm actually going to heavily leverage the fact that ninjas like to get into melee and mix things up. I'm going to go in there with them because I am running Entangling Aura. This, I think, is the secret to the whole build right here. This auto hit hold, okay? All I gotta do is go walk into melee range and I'm automatically holding like half the targets. Minions for sure. I think lieutenants are held as well. I've got this thing procced for the +2 mag hold, so I think I can one-shot hold bosses in some cases. I've got the unbreakable constraint smashing damage. I've got another unbreakable constraint here to hold endurance. I've got Ghost Widow's endurance hold and Essence of Curare as endurance hold. So endurance is the big thing. Hold duration, the boost of the mag, and then the damage. I mean, this is a crazy powerful power. I've mentioned this before. I don't know why the Homecoming team made this thing an auto hit, but whatever, it hits. You don't even have to slot it for accuracy, right? So, boom, you just walk into melee and shit is held. It's beautiful. So, that is going to keep me quite safe and keep the ninjas quite safe. On top of that, you've got the basic heals from your nature affinity. You've got regrowth, which is your forward facing cone. You've got life giving spores, which is your patch. PB endurance power booster. Wild Bastion is a PB click that gives absorb and heals over time. You've got Overgrowth, which is going to be your plus damage, plus to hit buffing PB that you're going to click that. Wild Growth, you've got this is another PB click plus resistance and regen. So, with those powers right there, you're going to be able to keep the ninjas and yourself alive long into any sort of fight you're going to run into. Then on top of that, you've got Spore Cloud, which is a toggle debuff that lowers the accuracy and the damage and the regeneration of toggle and any of its surrounding neighbors there. So that's a great way to, keep yourself safe in the ninjas as well. And then to kind of make, cherry on top, I've got both Tough from the Fighting Pool and Dark Embrace as a couple of the defense resistance, damage resistance toggles. So Fighting Pool I dipped into for Tough. As you can see, it's over here. I took Boxing and Tough just to get Tough. That's Smash Lethal Resistance. And then from the Soul Mastery set, I took the Dark Embrace, which is Smash Lethal, Negative, and Toxic. I've also got Leadership. I've got Maneuvers for some defense. I've got Combat Jumping from the Leaping Pool for some more defense. So if you take a look at the overall survivability numbers, they're actually pretty darn tough. No pun intended. Let me shut off the incarnate stuff so that it's more pure, shall we say. So here it is. I've got defenses are just, mostly lower single digits, but fire, cold, and melee, ranged, these are all teens, so, not too shabby. Excuse me. But here, my damage resistance, Smash Lethal's capped. Negative is pretty good, 40 some percent. Toxic is 33%. So I've got solid damage resistance to a couple of the most, common damage types in the game. And then, rarer stuff like toxic and negative, of course. But, between this low level defense, the high levels of damage resistance to these common popular damage types, and then you throw in just the buffing, the healing, the regeneration that I've got with my nature powers, the debuffery I've got from Spore Cloud, plus I can sit in bodyguard mode, plus I've got Entangling Aura snagging half the damage because the guys are just held instantly. This guy is one tough cookie. Then you go ahead and look at the incarnate stuff. I've got Vigor, which is going to give me healing, accuracy, endurance reduction. Because one thing you're going to see in Masterminds, and they believe I mentioned this with my first one, Witch Leather, endurance is an issue on Masterminds. They're heavily taxed for their powers. I think just because they've got pets and the pets should be doing all kinds of stuff. So any of your other powers, your attacks especially, are weighted heavily for endurance compared to somebody else. So I've got this for some heals, accuracy, and endurance reduction. I've got the degenerative minus max HP, some DOT toxic damage. So that's going to help me take down harder targets more easily. Then you got Rebirth, which is your PBAOE big time heal plus max hit points. This is another way to keep myself and the ninjas alive. I've got Support Core Embodiment. So there's your hybrid that's going to add damage, accuracy, defense, and special, such as heals and controls. So that's going to help boost up my Entangling Aura plus all my various absorbs and heals and regen powers. You got Pyronic, the big old fiery blast damage, foe disorient. I grabbed the Talons. I like these guys. They're pretty melee heavy as well. Talons of Vengeance, Incarnate Pets, and I think I hit all the other ones. So what else did I forget? I got health. I'm sitting here with the Absorb proc. So again, if I'm taking damage, I do happen to get low. I got that preventative medicine sitting over here. Actually should be clocked at 50. Not that it matters because I have it attuned, but I just want to make sure the numbers I'm showing you are for a level 50 attuned character. I've got regrowth. I have the Numinas sitting in there because I'm gonna be clicking regrowth a bunch, so it's gonna proc the regen recovery. I've got life-giving spores, which I've mentioned this before. It's got the Panacea PvP plus hit points and endurance, and so it does work in this patch. When you lay the patch out, it can proc some hit points and endurance immediately to your allies sitting in there. I believe it also can proc every 10 seconds or whatever it used to be. Same thing here, power transfer, I've got that in there. So this kind of makes it a quick, procable burst heal. It's not like going to save the day, but it's a little extra something, right? And then I've just got, a lot of the basic stuff for masterminds. This is ninjas, so you've got a bow and arrow that you're going to use with what are they, Genin, Ganin? I don't know how you would pronounce that. What's a technical way of saying it? But anyway, these are your little minions. I've got them six slotted with the command of Mastermind ATO, so they're going to have the AoE defense aura going around them. I've got the Wanin, I believe is how you say it, the lieutenants. These guys are holding the Mark of Supremacy other ATO set. That's going to have the aura resist regen. Then you've got your Oni over here. That's got the expedient reinforcement. I've got that six slotted. That gives the resist bonus aura for pets. You've got, bodyguard mode. You've got supremacy going. Again, very high survivability. The pets are going to be running all over the place, chopping into things like the ninjas do. So, be ready for that. But you've got the tools to pre-buff before you get into a fight, right? You can click wild growth. You can click overgrowth, right? You can click wild bastion. If they start taking damage, you can hit regrowth. You can throw life-giving spores out there. You can toss your spore cloud out there. And then at that point, you're just able to sit back and take shots with aim shot, fistful of arrows. And then I've dipped into the soul mastery because it does give you a couple nice uh, AoE cone attacks that have some. Nightfall's got some minus accuracy, so that's going to team up nicely with Spore Cloud over here. And then Soul Tentacles has an immobilize to kind of keep things, rooted where your ninjas are throwing caltrops and stuff at them so guys can't just start running away. So anyway, that is the overall idea for this build. I think it's pretty straightforward. It's on the pricier side, I would say, right? Because you're looking at what, two ATO sets. You've got a PvP set right there. I didn't take the purple pet set on this guy. I mean, just those three sets right there are going to cost you several million. I mean, that's probably, let's see, 10 million a pop on the ATOs. So that's 120 million. The PvP recipes, I don't know what they go for off the top of my head of the market. 10 million, 15 million each. So, you got a couple hundred million just in those three powers right there. That Numinous set that I've got here in regrowth, that's going to cost you a decent buck. I do have a couple purples over here. So, this build is probably sitting there like a couple Luck of the Gambler. Well, I got one of the global Luck of the Gamblers. So, yeah, I mean, this is probably it. And I mentioned this, I think, with Witch Leather, that my Mastermind builds are probably some of my more expensive ones. Not because I'm like, oh, I love masterminds and like I just gotta have them at these super high levels. In my opinion, masterminds need a ton of this high pricey slotting to be good. At least the way I've experienced them. I'm sure some people will argue with me about that, but you got a lot of things you got to take care of your pets. You've got to, you got to manage your endurance and all this stuff. So if you don't get the proper slotting for like the ATO sets to give you those resistance auras and the defense auras, if you're not taking some purple sets and stuff, you're not going to have numbers that are, as anywhere near what I'm showing here. And then you're going to have endurance issues. You're going to have, damage output issues, survivability issues. Your pets are dying left and right. You're constantly resummoning them. It turns into a mess. But if you just look at my overall numbers, I mean, it's pretty solid. I've got again, here's the big problem, right? 2-8 recovery, 1-6 end drain. That is horrible. Horrible, right? I mean, I'm bleeding 1.6. I'm only recovering 2.8. This stuff costs so much for endurance for masterminds. It's not even funny. So you gotta have ways to cheat, I guess. So anyway, I cheated by just I didn't go crazy on this build, but it's certainly pricier than some of my more common man, common woman builds that I've shown you. So again, I'm not gonna lie, but I think if you are gonna get into masterminds, you're gonna want to be willing to invest. You're gonna have to, I think, invest in some decent sets in order to make them a more viable archetype, especially at the higher level game, and you're just taking a lot more damage, especially the AoE damage that comes in. Anyway, that is the build. That's Spore KIng. So at this point, I'll be running some solo missions to show you how the tactics, the strategies I will employ with this ninja spore warrior here. And then I'll get into some team action where I can show you, how to integrate your mastermind with a team. I don't think with this guy it's going to be. Well, I think with all masterminds, it's kind of a common, team sort of mentality. You're really kind of stuck with two choices. You either focus on your pets or you focus on your teammates. I really don't think you can do both well. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. So that's why a buff set like Nature's so good because I can focus on my pets, and by virtue of focusing on my pets, I can heal and buff my allies. But I'm not going to be joining some team worrying about buffing the tank and running after the blaster and healing them. No, okay, I already told you I'm doing. I'm going to go into melee. I'm going to bring my little ninja warriors with me. I'm going to try to take some hits, and then bodyguard mode, they're going to attack and start beating the crap out of whatever just went after me. All right, that is the story, and I'm sticking with it, and I will catch you on the solo action.